kick things off straight away here, we're going to have a fantastic panel discussion hosted by Helge Holm-Larsen of Alfa Laval. So Helge, if you could come and take to the stage and introduce the panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo. I'd like to welcome my two panelists here. We have Ryan Adolphson from RWDC. Ryan, if you will join us up here. And then I have Ulrik from Kvasir Technologies. So if you'll come and join me as well.
Thank you very much.
I've been looking forward to this session quite a lot. I think it's going to be exciting, not just for us, but hopefully also for the crowd and the audience. And I also figure that most people out there, they actually know Alfa Laval, but and they're anxious for me to get to you guys there. But let me just speak a little bit about Alfa Laval. I think most of you guys will know us for our equipment. We talk about separators, and I think I'm going to go with the slides, if you don't mind. We have the mechanical separation. We have the high-speed separators, the decanters. We also do thermal separation. That is, for instance, distillation, evaporation, and so on. And we do heat exchangers, typically frame and plate heat exchangers. That is not what we're going to speak very much about here today. The reason that we're really here is that Alfa Laval decided to become net zero by 2027. So not like 2030 like most people do, but 2027. And this is just a couple of years from now, and it requires a major effort. And our experience has been that things are going too slow. So we have 20,000 highly trained specialist engineers and so on. We have world-leading equipment, but it's not enough. So we need to work together, and this is what we talk about when we say partnership. And I know that partnerships has been the core of our discussion this morning. I think we're going to speak more about partnerships. This partnership that we will speak about today is in particular, how do we validate technology? How do we scale it? How do we make it commercial? And this is our ambition at Alfa Laval to do that. And our target in partnerships is typically when company gets to TRL 5 or 6 and they want to scale up, we want to make sure that we help them as good as we can with our knowledge, with our test equipment, with our pilots, and so on and so forth. And this is basically the reason that I've asked two of our established partnerships. I think I'm going to start with you, Ryan. You've been a partner to Alfa Laval for several years by now. You characterized yourself as, or your company as an awkward teenager at earlier. But could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and what it is you're trying to achieve?
Yeah,
please.
Absolutely. Helge, thank you. You can go to that slide if you would. My name is Ryan Adolphson. I live just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S., where we operate our production facility. RWDC is a biotech company. We're focused on replacing plastics with biopolymers. We've been around now since about 2016. Went through a lot of, as you can imagine, science and development in our polymers for manufacturing PHA. PHA is not new, and many people in the room likely know a little bit about PHA. We've known about PHA for over 100 years, and I think we have thought that it would be an excellent replacement for polypropylenes, polyolefins in general, but for the production capacity and the cost. So we spent a lot of time focusing on how can we reduce that cost and increase capacity globally, and really have had a lot of success. So where we are today, we've gone through all the lab scale work, and we built an R&D center in association with the University of Georgia there in Athens. Then we scaled that up to a pilot facility, and we ran that for a few years. And we've recently built a pre-commercial demonstration plant, producing a few thousand tons a year. We've been running that for a little over a year now, and meeting small customer needs and doing some development and scale up really around the world with some of our customers, primarily in North America, but also here in Europe and Asia as well. Where we've moved to now, Helge, is we're in that scale-up process. So when I was talking to you about being an awkward teenager, what I was saying is we weren't that cute little toddler that everybody wants to pick up and hold anymore. I was speaking of investment capital at the time. And so now we've moved into that spot where we had been, at that time, really pre-revenue, as a lot of these startup companies are. We're a little bit larger than maybe your traditional startup. We're at about 100 employees globally now. And moving into manufacturing or building our first full-scale manufacturing facilities. So that takes us to Southeast Asia, where we have a site, and we've begun all the geotech work and prep on that site to build our first facility in Southeast Asia. We have our demonstration facility in North America, and we're expanding that right now, and we're building capacity there. And then while I'm here for these next few weeks in Europe, we're looking at 3 sites here in Europe for our European facilities. So we've sort of crossed that valley of technology and moved into the full commercialization. So our goal, of course, is to replace those plastics, and we're manufacturing biopolymers that can certainly work in films. You see on the picture there's some straws that are commercially available now, and some cups that replace in the U.S. we call them solo cups, but those little drink cold cups like that. And then a host of other, anything you could make and use a polypropylene or polyethylene, polystyrene for, we're manufacturing PHA resins that can replace that. So yeah, brief introduction, but thank you for a moment to say that.
Thank you, Ryan. Super interesting, and we're going to delve deeper into that in a bit. But let's give Ulrik a short chance to introduce himself and Kvasir.
Thank you very much. So my name is Ulrik. I'm based out of Copenhagen, where we are housed at the Alfa Laval Innovation House. Really good opportunity. And we have a very large laboratory in our pilot facility. We're a liter scale level, slightly early on the curve. I don't know if we are a toddler or not, but we are in process of facilitating. Yeah, you can. Well, happy to take the slide as well. If it's
okay.
We have nice inverted colors on this next one. I think it's fine. We are in process of finalizing construction of a demonstration plant. Will be 2 ton per day scale, and in process of having the first commercial project also being developed in Denmark. That'll be 40,000 ton per annum bio-oil production. So what we do is we are able to convert any type of biomass into a carbon neutral bio-oil. That is why we say reinventing oil. We think we can replace fossil oil as it is. We get a bio-crude. You can apply different refinery applications, whether it's distilling or hydrotreating or cracking and whatnot. So it has multiple uses. Of course, it's a simple logic here. How much biomass is there available? Is this really possible? That's typically what we're being met with. I think if we go helicopter, world demand 30% is oil, something like that. 50% is coal and gas, some renewables, nuclear. So the 30%, that's this magic 100 million barrels per day that typically people knows about. It's a little less than 5 billion ton per annum. How much biomass is there available? Different estimates. 100 billion tons is probably in the lower end of those estimates. Half of it being on land, half of it being maritime, etc., or in the oceans. So you could say the availability of biomass and the ability to really truly find a new source of having oil in a new format with sustainable carbon. It's definitely possible. And this is without even pushing the limits of, you could say, what forestry agriculture has been doing for 100 or more years in optimizing, making efficient energy crops and whatnot. You can actually direct to make this possible. So that's really the mission we're in for Kvasir here. We have a unique patent, which is the ability to convert lignin. It's like a third of any biomass. There's cellulose and hemicellulose as well. And we can do this in a fairly cost-efficient way. It's a very high yield conversion ratio of taking those H's and C's, the hydrocarbons from the biomass, and put them into our oil here. So we can take more than 85% of those in a fairly low cost. So we'll be cost parity with fossil oil as well. Then we start having no discussion about whether choosing green or not, right? So this is the mission we're on. we're still a bit early, you could say, but this is where the vision points us. And yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to stop you here.
Yep.
So also super interesting, but let's try to focus on the subject, the partnership towards technology validation and scale up. And Ryan, I'm going to turn to you first. Could you describe the travel from all the challenges and so on that you had, and how you addressed that together with partners?
Oh goodness, it has been quite a journey, from starting with just two of us in 2017 and an idea on the bench to where we are today. As with most startups, funding and growth is always a challenge. For us, as a young startup and trying to, we're obviously trying to build a company and replace, in the fossil fuels and in the fossil chemicals industry, it's a massive global industry. And so trying to chip a little piece of that, despite your technology, is quite difficult. And so what we found ourselves doing is we're really trying to build an industry and not just a company, and trying to build an alternative to and a replacement of all these petrol-based plastics. So it was a huge challenge, and we found that, regardless of how amazing we feel that our technology is, and that we feel we are, of course, who wouldn't want to be a part of this? We found that we desperately needed partnerships. And so with Alfa Laval, for example, a partnership with a world-class and mature company like that certainly helped us in the technology field and selecting things like the separators that we're working with you on, and understanding some things about heat exchangers and all the things that you have, and other partners in other industries as well. It also lent to us a little bit of credibility, if you will. I mean, we were at one time we were a scrappy startup, and with a really cool idea, and we were going to change the world. Now we've moved more into that slightly more mature. This is my teenager scenario here. And we're moving into commercial scale production. So people expect a little bit more, that we have to be a little more professional. And so now the partnerships have moved, instead of just giving us ideas and lending us credibility, but to establishing us as a definitive business in the space. So for us, and maybe for you and others here in the room, partnerships were critical for us to claw our way out of that garage startup mentality into a legitimate global business. We have business now all over the world, so we do qualify, I guess, as a global business. But partnerships specifically for the technology that we've been able to do, and then for that perception of that coming of age, been very important for us.
So you say that there has been a development in the partnerships that you've been seeking over this process.
From our perspective,
Yeah.
yes. We were desperately seeking partnerships before. It's been interesting to see now that people are coming to us, and mature companies globally are saying, hey, we'd like an opportunity to partner with you to develop some of our products through our technology. So we've seen that transition happen for us. But I would say, and to those here, that partnerships are critical, certainly for the startup. And I would impose on you, I think partnerships are critical for these big global companies as well, for them to stay relevant and connected with new technologies, in addition to your own technology development, allows you to expand and move into other areas as well.
Great. Ulrik, turning to you, we first met in the Alfa Laval incubator in Søborg, in Copenhagen, Denmark, where you're located. And could you also describe the challenges and maybe say how has the path through the innovation center in Copenhagen been for you?
Certainly, it's been a fantastic, good adventure for us. And for making new technology, you need the best brains. Alfa Laval is unique on that point, on a lot of different angles and parts of solving, you could say, physical, technical, chemical problems, which is really essential for us to make the business successful. So it's a vital part of finding the right partners. It's really what makes it or breaks it. So it's very simple for us. We see lots of different good synergies for the plants and the products coming out. That is actually well suited with you could say, existing equipment and skill sets within Alfa Laval. Also other ones, of course, we need all the brainware, all the brain capacity that we can get to make this. I really subscribe to your let's make an industry here.
Yeah.
I think that's really true. It takes quite an effort for, you could say, a whole value chain to make it possible.
Great, thanks. Zooming in on the technology validation and scale-up commercialization, so maybe more a technical feature. I mean, what we offer from Alfa Laval is the know-how, the testing, the piloting, but also the manufacturing experience and the ability to support the scale-up. Is there something that doesn't matter, or is there a gravity in terms of importance on that? Ryan, do you have an opinion there?
You know, we have found that we like to partner with suppliers, but suppliers didn't always have the right answer. And for us, with a new material like PHA, and PHA doesn't always behave as you would expect other polymers to behave. And so we found it working with manufacturing partners such as yourself is that we couldn't just take the standard answer that, oh yes, we know how to do that from a supplier. Actually turned out never to be the case with PHA. So what happened with Alfa Laval is that we had to enter into a really collaborative effort to figure out the answers, because we didn't have them, you didn't have them, and as it turns out, many people globally didn't have the answers for this new technology that we thought was going to be some parts rather simple, turned out to be very complicated and took a couple years to work through some of those technology challenges. So from my perspective in working with especially larger partners like you, it's the co-development or the partnership and development process that was critical for us. It turns out we couldn't just take the word of the supplier. Not that your word isn't good, but that that your previous experience wasn't always aligned with for us in sort of a novel material like PHA. So I don't know if that answers your question directly, but yes, absolutely. But it's the process that was important for us.
It's the process and getting it right in the end. Yeah.
Getting the right answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. How about you, Ulrik, on the same subject?
So let me start by saying we are about 25 employees. We're quite small, great visions, as you can hear. And we are based in Copenhagen. Denmark is a small country. People know each other. People play badminton in their free time and whatever. Right? We are used to this kind of working model, basically, collaborating strongly, and it's really what makes a difference, I think. So I typically say that we see extended arms of ourselves, like Alfa. We have colleagues here. That's really how we see it. It's part of uniting with the right competent partners to make the whole thing happen here, right? So it's complete essential for us that we engage with in these partnerships. It's really important. So it's a part of making the whole engine actually succeed. So
great. You've both been through extensive development, and basically when you work in the lab, you use certain technologies, and then when you have to scale up, you use industrial equipment. So what is your philosophy in terms of how do you design for scale up and manufacturing, and when did that happen? When did you realize that what worked in the lab did not necessarily work in the field? Ryan, if you...
Those are painful memories, Helge, to relive. But for us, it started from the very beginning. I mean, I'll back up for just 1 second if I can. You know, the driver for us is to improve the lives and work of people. So we were thinking with that in mind, building a niche technology wasn't really going to do that. So we were looking from the very beginning, from the earliest days, how could this be a global be a global company and develop a global industry around replacing plastics. You know, we talk about recycle, reuse. You know, we want to introduce, reduce, recycle, reuse. We want to introduce that fourth R, replace. And we want to replace those materials with a more viable one. So we built a technology that worked exceptionally well in the lab. We developed that to pilot scale, and we had a few hiccups and bumps, but we had a technology that we were ready to go commercial with. And we had some opportunities to skip this demonstration scale and go straight to commercial. We had funding that was available. We were just about to do that, but we had a really demand for some product to help customers develop their products from our materials. So we decided to go that middle step to this demonstration scale. And I thank the Lord that we did, because then we found out some things that we didn't know. There were some things over that horizon that we couldn't quite see. And so those scale-up challenges we were able to direct. Now we're running at what I call pre-commercial scale now. We're running multiple bioreactors at 60,000 liters. It's a 10x scale up to our full commercial scale. We've got that under construction, and now. So the scale up from lab to pilot was a big one. From pilot to demonstration was a critical one. So folks in new technologies and developing that, I would definitely recommend that middle step that some people sometimes skip. It was critical for us to align on where those pitfalls were.
So not completely trivial to go from lab to full scale, you would say.
Not trivial at all, right?
No.
But some of those challenges we really would not or could not have foreseen until we got there. Yeah.
Right. How about you, Ulrik?
I think we're just one step behind you guys, right? Maybe there's some painful learnings for us to come. We are having this pilot facility, liter scale, 1 liter per day, and finalizing construction of a demo plant, 2 ton per day. So let's see what that might bring. We have a different upbringing, you could say. We're founded in technology. It's a technology that's the basis, being able to convert the lignin, first patents, etc. So it's another driver. We're not trying to make a fit to a particular need. We see that we have a bio-oil that can be used for many different things. So you could say, for us, technology and risk, it's on the molecular level. That's where the magic happens, really. So that's the steering of what happens in the bioreactor. It's temperature, process, lots of different things, of course. And the upscaling of such, you could say, it's, I'm going to say, be bold here, it's more well known from refinery, etc. So you could say there's a precedence in how to handle these kind of streams, etc. Got a lot of nice, good people from Danish Topso in particular that has, I think they're providing for half the planet's refineries, and they're hydrotreating and other kind of things, right? So that's the sort of symbiosis of what we use as well. Mm-hmm. So I hope we are in a more safe place when upscaling, but we do not have the learnings yet.
Great.
It's to come.
Yes. We're going to keep people from having lunch in a little bit, but we just have a few minutes here before the next session and so on. What are your perspectives? Are you basically, I mean, Ryan, you're ahead. Are you almost done on the technology partnership, or how do you see our collaboration going forward?
Oh, yeah. No, I would say we're not done. There's plenty of opportunities to develop and collaborate for us in specific, and there's multiple partners, I'm sure, to come. In this morning, in one of the talks this morning, they were talking about the reasons for transition, the reasons we might be looking in how to transition to a bioeconomy, and we were talking, primarily about the environmental drivers. Also supply chain and logistics. So I think the comment was in Europe, we're focused on the environmental drivers. In North America, on some of the supply chain and logistics. I would say that for us, this overarching concern now is around microplastics. And microplastics should be, and to everyone in this room who doesn't know, you should be paying attention to microplastics and their impacts on human health. So what we're finding is that now the momentum going forward is increasing, and the attention being paid to plastics in general and petroleum products in a broader perspective is now focusing in on a more immediate need. So it's supply chain, I guess, could be immediate. The impacts on global warming and climate change are maybe a little bit more longer term, but the impacts on my kids and my grandkids is something that's becoming immediate and getting people to pay attention. So increasing the need for partnerships and a more dispersed partnerships with the healthcare industry and other things that are coming to us now is a new perspective that partnerships will not slow down but ever increase as we're moving forward.
So different drivers, but partnerships continue. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, great. Ulrik, maybe 30 seconds, sure. And then I round off.
We're almost at the starting line, right? So partnerships, more collaborations, sure. It's the way for us to go. We need the different skill sets, the equipment, etc. Laval and others is really vital for making this happen. So it's we're just at the starting line, basically, ready to go full blown. So more of everything.
That's great.
Yep.
Good. Well, Paul said no questions, but we do have a stand number 11. So if you do have questions, then come out and join us out there. Apart from that, let me thank Paul for giving us this opportunity, and let me also thank Ryan and Ulrik for actually joining me here on stage today. So thank you also to you.
Thank you very much.